was a gun.
I'm not voting.
If we want to build our nation.
The problem with the Somalians.
Just want to experience something else than a black man.
Move on, move
Can't be
forward.
like a horse with blinkers on.
Honestly say, I was about to have sex
Corrupt
and then I pulled
crap,
up.
but it's nice.
My name is Pabi. I'm 19 years old. I'm a second-year trainee at a Spanish dance company, and I'm training to become a Spanish dance teacher.
My name's Tony. I'm 27. I'm a poet, and I'm co-founding director of a youth mentorship organization called I Am Somebody.
Hello, my name is Primrose, and I'm a writer and a poet and a magazine journalist, and I'm a founder of Brower, which is a book club.
My name is Pila, Lady P. I am an arts administrator and an artist. I write and perform poetry, I sing, and I'm also an administrator at Dumalisile Arts and Culture Center in Gugulethu.
I'm in a relationship with someone who's incredibly independent and who sees his world as his own and is very macho in his respect. But I think I've thought about this whole thing of being nice and being very demure and being good girlfriend and listen to him and be by his side. It doesn't work for me, okay? It doesn't work for me because I think that I have passion for the things I love, and I have passion for the things I do, and I'm a passionate person, and I'm not going to be in a situation where I am falling into some box of what a woman's supposed to be like. I mean, I'm never going to be that woman, you know, and for me, it's either he understands that or he doesn't.
I really think it's important for a woman to, most of the time, lean back and be vulnerable, and for a man to be the hunter and be kind of like the CEO, you know? I think by nature, that's like a symbiotic relationship. I mean, if you look at, let's say, a lion and a lioness, the lion is the king, but the woman or the lioness has her role where she goes and hunts, and that's what she does, and the male lion never does that. But she brings in the meat, and the male lion is the first one to have meat and share amongst the cubs. I mean, the female lion doesn't sell. I mean, look at nature. Just look at nature.
I'm sorry. I grew up in a house.
We are creatures of nature.
I'm not bringing in the meat.
Sorry.
I grew up in a house where everything was 50-50. I grew up with my father ironing, and then when I got to school and heard that mothers iron, I was like, no, but that's what daddies do. So like I come from a home let me finish. So I come from a home where things, and it's not just housework, there was a constant mutual respect for each other. And I'm not saying that it can't happen in the situation that you're talking about. But for me, the reality is that that like my father treats her like a queen, you know, and she respects him in the same way. And I've never seen them ever expect each other to be anything but who they are. And the difference with my parents is that they were a lot older when they met each other, and they were mature, you know, so as opposed to kind of being in their early 20s. So you kind of have a stronger sense of self, you know who you are, and it's, you know, it's a different dynamic. But I've always just grown up needing to have complete equal partnership. Like there's no ways that I can hang back from being who I am. The minute I feel stifled or silenced in any way, I will leave. The minute that if there isn't an equal give and take, then I'm sorry, like I'm not going to invest 200%, because like Prim says, I'm the same person. If I'm here 200%, whether it's work, whether it's poetry, whether it's relationship. And if you're doing it half, then it doesn't work that way, you know. And I also don't see, you might also have male and female in physical form, but you could have a male with strong female energy, and you could have a female with strong masculine energy. And it depends on the person. It depends on the dynamics of each individual. And trying to kind of force people into roles is what causes the problem, you know?
I grew up in a home, kind of like what Tony says, where it doesn't matter whether you're a male or female. If something needs to be done, you do it. And it's kind of funny because my parents have always encouraged debates. You never just accept something. And whenever there's anything that involves the whole family, there'll be discussion, we'll vote. Everybody from my father down to the youngest who's 9 years old, we vote. the majority wins, and that's how it is. And I think that's taught me a whole lot about equality. So my father is the head of the house. His decision is final, but there's a lot of discussion that goes on behind the scenes with my mom. And it's not a one-sided thing. And I think that's kind of the difference between our generation and generations way before, where it's the father who says everything is done that way. My parents have taught me, you are a person, you've got a mouth, speak. You've got a brain, think. And never let it be said that your feelings are not known. I think that's kind of what gets a lot of people into trouble.
I have a very interesting relationship with my father because my father married his first wife. And so my half brothers are like much older than me. Like, and the way that they are with him is so frightening. It's so frightening in that he says something and they're like, okay. Like, there's no questions. There is no questioning. What he says goes. And then he comes to our family, which is, and then he married my mom, and then it's like me and my sisters, and the kind of relationship that we have with him is so completely different to what he has with his, first family, and then he's got like children younger than us, and they're kind of like, whatever, and there's not even a negotiation. So I think that there's a lot. It has a lot to do with a generational gap, as well as upbringing. If you grow up in a very strongly traditional way, and that's the only thing that you will protect those kind of values because the values that you know. And if you are growing up in a very liberated home where you're able to speak your mind, for you, it's not about him being your father. It's about him being engaging in a conversation with you at that point.
I don't make concessions in that if you want to wear the pants, go ahead, wear your pants. I'll be right there next to you wearing mine. It's I don't know. It's very rare, I think, to find people my age who have that belief. Because most people my age overcompensate and like, hell no, I'm not going to let him do what he wants to do to me. It's a partnership, 50-50. He can cry on my shoulder and I can make decisions for him because there's that much trust between us. If there wasn't that trust, he'd probably wear his pants and I'd wear mine, and we'd stand on opposite sides of the battlefield ready to do battle. Because I'm just not the type of person who gives in. And I don't expect him to do the same either. I mean, I don't know if you or anyone else feels that way, but having someone who asks you, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, how high should I jump, ma'am, is really not on.
I agree with what I hear what Bobby's saying, and also just touching on your point about how a lot of women overcompensate. It goes back to Peter's point. There is a point where we need to allow ourselves to be vulnerable because that's what part of love is, but it works both ways. There are times when as a woman you need to just let go and be held, and you need to trust that that person's going to be there for you. And I think as women, especially in our society where often, especially in Cape Town, where there's often a lack of strong male role models, women are so used to fixing and taking care of and sorting things out. And sometimes we actually just need to be taken care of. And there is that overcompensating where women kind of feel like they need to do it all themselves. But there's a balance there, There needs to be a balance. And that balance then also ties into what you're saying about, he can be wearing the pants, but you're alongside him, and it needs to be an equal. There needs to be that almost like, for lack of a better term, creative tension. Because if one person's dominant, then both are not learning. There needs to be constant kind of just challenging each other, kind of pulling the best out of each other. For me, that's part of what love is. You want that person to be the best, so you're honest, not hurtful. There's a difference.
I think that love is when somebody knows that they can trust you and they can depend on you emotionally and they can respect you for who you are. Not anything that makes you feel that you are less, not anything that makes you feel that I'm here to save you, not anything that makes you feel like I can do anything to you. It is an equal partnership, and it has to be on equal level where somebody feels maternal and somebody feels paternal. And I think that at that point, it doesn't matter. You can be maternal and I can be paternal. So it's a vulnerability, but it's emotional dependency on each other.
I found that it makes me feel very uncomfortable when the person that I'm with is too soft or too feminine. It makes me feel uncomfortable. Especially, men mostly are masculine. They've got testosterone flowing through their veins. It's like naturally like that. So when my man cries or gets that soft feeling, I tend to just kind of be bewildered as to, okay, am I now suddenly switching roles to be the man where I should comfort and kind of take charge because this person is now very soft and vulnerable? I found it very uncomfortable. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that.
I find it that I think that I like someone better when I know that at some point or another they are not they're not always super. They have vulnerable side, and that they can hurt, and that they're human. I just find that I identify with them because as much as I can be super, I have my vulnerable points, and I think that I identify with them better when they are able to be like, shit, I can't do this. Can you help me?
Because it allows you to feel like you can. It's that thing of there's a saying.
You can hold.
Yeah, there's a saying. I can't remember the person, but it's dare to be imperfect, and they will tug at your sleeve, a soulmate. And it's that thing of realizing you don't always have to be perfect to be loved. So when that other person's able to go there, then it makes you feel more comfortable to go there, to be vulnerable, to also just be able to let go and just like, weet je wat, today is just not my day. And like, I don't always have to put on a brave face, I don't always have to be strong, because sometimes I just don't feel strong.
I find that vulnerability with the two sexes looks very different. In that what a woman looks like when she's vulnerable and what a man looks like when he's vulnerable is totally different. And it's to a point where when a man is being vulnerable in his way, it's not seen as vulnerability. It's just seen as him being a man. So if a man comes and he's taking charge of everything, he's going crazy, doing everything that needs to be done, it's seen as strength, even though it's probably vulnerability on his part, like, okay, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. And I think it's those times when the vulnerability that a male is showing is the same as what a woman is showing, that it kind of becomes uncomfortable. Because I do get exactly what Pila's saying. It is weird having a tall, grown man crying on your sleeve.
I want him to cry.
I'm
like, yeah.
I need to know the
Sit
details.
here.
I need to know the details of heart beating
shoulders.
inside, that like heart,
Yes.
like beautiful shoulder chest, like there needs to
Yeah.
be. Is there a human being inside?
Yeah,
there?
but also like, my partner is often very like this all of the time, like incredibly like straight, dignified, together. If people don't know him, they think, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? So like people that even know him, even like people that are close to him, always hold him in that way. And I'm saying that at some point or another, you're gonna chill, dude. And if you can chill with me, I'm good. So you can cry. So I want to see that. I want to see that. I want to see men cry. I'm raising a boy child, and if he wants to cry, you cry, my baby. It's all
What's
good.
that song? What's that Motown song? Go
on
on
and
and cry,
cry.
my son.
My dream is to see myself in a place where I'm at the happiest I can be, where I don't have to fear what anyone else thinks of me, and in a place where the people around me feed me and they stimulate me, and just in a place where there's balance. I think there's too much emphasis put on happiness, and there's not enough emphasis put on the growth that comes with sadness. And I want to be in a place where I find that balance, where I can appreciate what the sadness and the grief brings to me.
My dream is a world where people listen to each other, really listen, not wait to speak, not listen through the filter of how things affect them, but really listen to understand what the other person is saying. And my dream is also to inspire through my poetry and through the work that I do with young people, inspire each person to be who they really are, you know, to live their life purpose and to truly be themselves all the time.
My dream is to wake up one day and know that the generations after me will live in a society that enables them to be who they are, to live in a world that is not full of prejudice, in a world that accepts them for who they are, but in a world that they can engage truthfully and just be.
My dream is to see myself living here on earth and not being dependent on the ways of this world and not conforming to the ways of this world, but thinking more in an eternal sense and just kind of moving through this world as the way I imagine it. I'm in a forest and there's lots of things happening all around, lots of scary things and lots of distractions happening, but I know that this is just the forest and there's another side to this forest. So I keep walking along this path that gets me to the other side and not allow myself to stray and go down paths in this forest that are distractions to me. So really that is my dream, to kind of live in this world and not conform to the ways of this world, but let my mind be transformed inwardly.